Hey everybody, welcome to the Opportunities You Didn't Think of. I am your host, Casey Wallace, and today's guest is Susan Walter. She is a phenomenal conduit for extraordinary communications and facilitating information from angel guides, higher consciousness beings, all of that information that we love to ingest and include in our lives. She has incredible talents lined up with her intuitive gifts. And she's been on a show before that we also host on this network called Extraordinary Experiences. We encourage you to check out that program with Susan as well. Today we're going to let her give you the info that she's been receiving from all of these incredible beings of light as to what we should be optimizing in this time, this energy fluctuation, this extraordinary opportunity that has presented itself here on the Earthship. And so sit back and relax, enjoy this conversation. Susan, thanks so much for being here with us again on this program today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
I'd love to have you, in your own words, please, explain to the audience who you communicate with, how you communicate with them, how you see them, and then let's get right into, kind of the message that you have received and that you have in your knowing and your essence as to what is taking place right now with this extraordinary situation going on.
I communicate with a number of different beings, particularly the angels. That's who I have the most experience with. I've been communicating with them I've been seeing angels since I was a small child. I've been seeing everybody else's since 1997. Actually, I think I'm not sure. But behind me, you'll see how I see the angels because I see them in what I've been told in their pure light form. Just like people, some angels are more chatty than others. Those that don't want to communicate with words or don't want to communicate in English for whatever reason will show me like snapshots of things. So it's kind of like somebody flipping through a photo album really fast. And I also work with a group of beings known as the guardians of the Solfeggio, which are very, very specific hertz frequencies that are very, very healing. The Reader's Digest version of what Solfeggio frequencies are is they're the frequencies used to sing our universe into existence. Therefore, they can help us realign with our original blueprint for different healing purposes. And there's 9 sets of 9 frequencies, so a total of 81 different frequencies, and each one can help you with different things. And I've created mandalas based on those frequencies.
Yeah, the frequency thing is so incredible. I know that since I even talked to you last time, and perhaps partly because I talked to you last time, Susan, a whole nother essence of the Joyous Collective has come through, and I've started doing light language and light coding, which is all new for me this time around.
Wow.
And
I can't wait to hear more about that.
I know in my heart it's these connections, like my connection with you. These are triggers, these are open. Everything is starting to really activate itself and align itself. And so I completely honor and know this about you. So thank you for being who you are, because inadvertently you are activating, helping to activate things in other people as well. And
that's my personal goal, is to help us connect with the divine in whatever way that is for you.
I know that we've gotten really nothing but positive information about this energy that's taking place. I think a lot of people were kind of surprised. I've said this on other conversations, that feels like the rug got kind of yanked out from under people's feet just because of what's going on, that provided the opportunity for people to get into a quiet space so all this cool stuff could take place. So we all know that there's this other stuff, coming through. But I do know that each of us are getting our own versions of that, and providing that we're trying to bombard everybody with this positive information. So Susan, what are you receiving and what are you getting in this time right now?
Yeah, it's a time for family to reconnect. Because a lot of us, the very first thing I did is my daughter was in New York City attending culinary school and doing an internship. Well, that all closed down. So I immediately drove to Kansas City and to New York City and brought her back home to Kansas City. So, her and I are, having this wonderful time just sitting here and reconnecting. It's a way to, and so many people are going home. Going back to be with family. So number one, that's connecting with, our family in a new way, and, really realizing who's there for us, because we are all dealing with this in our own way.
I know, and like we've talked about, everybody's life has gotten into hyperdrive. It's slowly gotten into this hyper state of living. Unfortunately, not a hyper consciousness state, but just a hyperactivity state, which is a massive distraction away from our connection to self. And it's gotten so entangled, and what I perceive to be, it's quite an addiction and quite an intoxication. All the fast, and you're right. It has caused extreme disconnection, I think, in relationships. People will say, well, no, the technology allows us to connect with people. I'm like, yeah, but not really deeply, very shallowed and misinterpreted. And so, this is a recent...
Emails and texts can be misinterpreted because a comma was forgotten, or whatever, but very easy to interpret it or misinterpret it. And it's also a really good time to reconnect with yourself. Taking that, because we have the extra time. Let's take this time to meditate or, do whatever it is, that really calls to you. Like, I'm doing something this spring I haven't done in years. I'm actually doing a little bit of gardening. And I haven't, not had the space to do that for a very long time. And I don't have a lot of space, but I have a small patio in the apartment that I live in. So I'm going to plant some herbs and a few things. And for those of you that are having high anxiety during this time, getting your hands in the dirt and going out there and getting grounded. And if you do live in an apartment or someplace you don't have some dirt to plant in, it doesn't matter. Just get some pots. Do a little pot gardening with a couple of herbs or, some potatoes, tomatoes, anything. It's just get connected with Mother Earth.
Yeah, and that brings you right into that moment of now, getting everybody into that quiet, still space, is vital. And, the Mother Earth ship herself is changing so much right now.
Oh, yeah. Yes, she is, And something that I've been seeing that's been taking place for the last several months, even before this whole, started, it was almost like Mother Earth was coming back into the planet in a way that she has not for eons. And that is part of what's been reawakening what we often refer to as the feminine aspect, but it's also a new way of honoring the male aspect as well. Both have been abused and taken advantage of. And we need to get back so we're honoring each other and getting away from those traditional roles.
I think
work for everybody.
The roles have been diluted down to their least expansive version of themselves, like the most limited version.
Yes, that's an excellent way of putting that. Yes, thank you for that.
I know we've talked with somebody else who has this connection where she very clearly sees what she calls the new Earth birthing. That new, where she actually sees a separate Earth interfacing itself energetically into our Earth ship now to kind of give it this new birth. And where every energy has the opportunity for a far more expanded version than it has been, no matter how you perceive that in your life.
Yeah, I almost feel like I don't even see the old earth as much. Yeah, it's something that's falling away, and I'm seeing more the activation of the new earth. Yeah, yeah, Gaia, whether it's actually the Gaia that's been here for eons and eons, or even a new entity coming in and taking on this role. But yeah, it's just, and and I've been watching the Schumann resonance. And if you have not been, please go, go to your search engine and search that out, because it is, particularly the last 36 hours, it has just been off the charts. It has been becoming more and more active for the last few months, but the last few days have just been phenomenal. It's hard not to actually, physically, physically feeling that. And, I've been going through some different changes physically in my own body as a result of all these energy changes.
I would love, we touched, let's get on the two primary subject matters and how even those gifts for you have shifted. I know that, your incredible ability to tune in, literally talking about your sound frequencies, tuning into people's angels and guides. I would imagine that that's even getting larger for you, or clearer for you, or I just crisper.
It's more vibrant is what I would say, and something that it started changing several months ago, but I started seeing I'm now, I didn't know what it was at first, and I think it has to be some sort of light language, that when I do angel portraits for people, it usually starts at the throat and goes down through the center of the body. And at first I only saw that with some people, but now I'm seeing it with everybody and with all the angels. So, and it's usually a message that's meant to be, from the angels to the higher self. So it's not something we need to consciously understand what it means.
So let's get to these cool frequencies that you're talking about, okay? If you don't mind sharing information on that. And, for maybe for people out there who don't think they have any connection to that, which is an impossibility, but even if they aren't feeling how to do that, maybe you can talk to them a little bit about what they can be doing to get themselves in alignment with these frequencies.
To understand more what they are, first too, they're all 3-digit frequencies. They're all with no zeros, and they all add up to either 3, 6, or 9, which is all based on Pythagorean math, and it gets real deep into science when you really get into it, which sometimes, to be honest, goes right over my head. But I've been fascinated enough by it that I've been getting, absorbing and reading everything I possibly could for the last, since 2011. But because really it gets down to it, every human, we're all made, everything's made up of atoms. An atom is an atom. It's all what frequency it's vibrating in. It doesn't matter if it's an atom that's in your heart or an atom that's in the in the floor that you're standing on. It's all what frequency it's vibrating at. And it's so many people get up caught up in the higher lower, as if higher is better. I think it's really more faster and slower. We've all chosen to be here and experience this slower, more dense, frequency for one reason or another, for our personal growth, for our soul growth. But these frequencies, they really, when I first started hearing them and really working with them, because as I created each mandala, I would listen to that frequency, and it's, it just really gets you at your core. And it's almost, especially when you start some of more than one together, it's almost like hearing that sound of coming home. It's so relaxing and so calming and so soothing, but healing too. yeah, it's sometimes for me, it's hard to put it into words, to be honest.
So do you hear these just kind of randomly on a regular basis? Do you tune in with them for people? How does this work for you?
I've actually used technology to, when I was working with, because I wanted to hear that very, very specific ones, because I am one of those people that gets the ringing in the ears sometimes, and it made it easier for me to tune in with that specific frequency as I created that mandala and really worked with it and channeled what that specific mandala was for, or that, and how that specific frequency can help you.
Okay.
All that information about each and all of them is actually, everything about it that I know and understand at this point is even on my website. Is I want people to be using these frequencies in every way they possibly can. Yeah.
This is fascinating, and this is why we have guests like yourself on, Susan, who each of us have these incredible, seemingly individual abilities to grab pieces, of the mass collective that's out there, and to provide the opportunity to share this information with everybody out there, to see what resonates with everybody, triggers everybody, gets people moving and flowing and opening, in different ways. And the information, thankfully, is being more and more supported, even in the science world and in the theory world. It used to be people like us who just, we were just in, of course, other lives that we've been cast out as being super weird and punished and things like that. And now it's, very credible, and people see and feel the results from this. And that's just the truth, of how all of this works. When you are, sitting back and watching and feeling, all of this incredible shift that's taking place now, we've been talking about this for a little while. All of us practitioners have been talking about this energy coming for the last couple of years or so. Mm-hmm. Many of us have our own channeled information as to kind of, how long it's going to last, or that this is a shift period. It's not going back, to any way that it was before. What can you say to people, Susan, who maybe don't have the sensitivity, that they don't believe they have the sensitivity to really feel what's going on here? What are words of inspiration that you can provide for them with what you are receiving for information for yourself?
There is no such thing as separation. We all have these capabilities. We just, it's like the athlete that was passionate about playing this sport, or the athlete who was passionate about, it's what you're passionate about that you have taken the time to learn how to do and study. We have, you and I and others in the community, this has just been our passion. So we've taken the time to learn and study and listen. So now you have the time, take the time to listen. And if it's as simple, it can be as simple as starting out as going outside and start listening to nature. Start there.
It's the powerful energies around us. Once you start, I always say, just make a decision. I'm going to see this. I'm going to feel this. And you're going to be amazed at what starts to show up. And of course, then the key component is don't talk yourself out of it. Get that altered ego out of the way. I mean, how many times do we do that?
Mm-hmm. For those of you that like crystals and stones, lay out different ones and see if you see, take the time to listen to each stone and see if you feel something different from the different ones. From the different types. Does quartz crystal feel different than amethyst or citrine or, carnelian, whatever? Just play with the different ones.
And I always say, whatever you're drawn to, we all just naturally are drawn to different things. This is my favorite one of these, and this is my favorite. There's no such thing as coincidence. You're drawn to what is resonating with you. That's why you're drawn to it. That's the connection of a favorite or a drawn to. And to be able to start to integrate some of these energies into our lives. Like I was having a discussion with someone earlier today. I'm like, right now, these are like jet turbo boosters right now of energy. If you thought, energy, I just couldn't connect with energy previously in my life. I tried to do that. I just can't seem to resonate. I'm like, try it again, because like right now it is leveled up, right?
Yeah, it's like, before it was at 1, now we're like at 100, and it's still going up. Yeah, so it's going to be easier and easier to connect.
I would love, Susan, to talk a little bit about ways that people can begin to connect with their angel guides. I know that this comes very seamlessly for you, and that you are the person to help another have awareness of those connections by your paintings and your drawings, and even some of the beautiful messages that you're able to convey for people sometimes when the angel is speaking to you. But I know that they're there all the time. I think we've pretty much figured out that they're there all the time. Do you have ways that you can kind of encourage people, number one, that they're there? I want you to tell them they're there. I'll give them your information on that. And then, how do they kind of get a sensation of this for themselves?
One of the things that I know angels have been doing and more with people lately is numbers. When you see those triple digits of 111, 222, whether, I don't care if it's in a license plate or on your digital clock or wherever it is you possibly see it. I've had them come up on the gas pump before, and that's just, them reminding you, hey, we're here. They can sometimes use that, and also use music, because that is when they communicate with each other, they are using music and tones. And that's, to me, what connected the angel and the Solfeggio work together. Because, so start with those two things. They do can often work very, very subtly, because they want us to ask for help. So start asking, and it can be as simple as, this one is going to be easy right now, but help me find a good parking spot when I go to the grocery store. Most grocery stores, there's not that many people there right now. But it can be as simple things as finding a good parking spot. Does it need, though, to the angels, there isn't any difference between what we think of as that little thing like a parking spot and that big thing of, helping us find, the right path for us at this time. There's not, but, you need to pay attention to those subtle messages. And especially if you get things in threes. If you have the same person, like something I had happen today, I had 3 different people tell me about the same video out on YouTube I needed to go listen to. It's like, okay, the first time I paid no attention. The second time, the third time's okay, I'll go watch it now.
We're so dense, right? I mean, you got to think, these.
Sometimes, just because we think people think we're attuned all the time. No, we're not. And we need to be those reminders and those, knock on the door once in a while too.
I know. Brad and I, of course, to support you too, we just crazy things that are, click into place or unleash themselves. They don't necessarily seem like they're life-changing. They're just those things where you're like, and there that is, and there that is, and it puts a smile on your face, and it reminds you that
you need that just right person at just the right time to, lead you down a certain path that, just put you at the right place at the right time.
I mean, I gotta share a story that happened to us, this week. We live in a very conservative state, to say the least. We live in Utah. I'll just say that, okay? So although there is a community of spirituality sprinkled throughout the state, I think all the viewers can probably understand what the dominant energy in the state of Utah is. So needless to say, it's pretty conservative. So when we get out and about, if we go into shops or stores or whatever, we don't really just walk in and kind of openly admit to everybody what we do. You know, hey, by the way, we own a spirituality, you know, television network, and my wife's a channel, and she does light code. You know, I mean, we just don't, you know, make those announcements generally. And yet, even in this state, it's amazing sometimes how someone will say, what do you guys do? Because there's some kind of energy coming off of you, or this or that, and we're always like, oh, well, that's really lovely. Then, of course, we'll engage in a conversation, and obviously there's these little cosmic tumblers that kind of fall into place. And we had that happen again this week, very, very strongly. Went up to get, we have a good-sized piece of property here in southern Utah, and my husband Brad wanted to buy a new side-by-side four-wheeler, okay? And he'd been looking at them. There's a whole storyline behind people who buy things like that, you know, researching them and whatever. Had found what he wanted at a dealership. That's about 4.5 hours away from us. So even though we have dealerships here, what he was looking for was way up there, okay? So we get in the car, strap the trailer on the back, and head up. Now, he'd only had a brief conversation with the manager. This is what I'm looking for, made him an offer, we go in. And of course, as you can imagine, because of what's going on right now, the store is very quiet, very, you know, there aren't any customers in there. And of course, we come in and chatting with the guy. We ended up buying two of them from him. We bought the one there on site, and then he was gonna build us one. So we leave his shop and we get all the way home, which again, it was about 5 hours later, okay? And he calls Brad and tells him he doesn't have the color of the other one that we want, and is it okay if he gives us this other color and he'll upgrade it for us, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And he says to Brad, I have sold 14 machines since you left my shop today.
Wow.
And Brad says, yeah, that sometimes happens when my wife and I go into businesses or stores. The store, within a few minutes, will get really busy. And he said, yeah, that's really interesting to me. And so then they went on and had a conversation. So then yesterday we went up to get the new machine. And the guy says to Brad, and again, you know, none of this is planned out. The guy says to Brad, my mother is a seer and a healer. And Brad says, really? And he goes, she called me the other day after you'd been in the shop and said to me out of the blue, so did your business increase today? And he said, I told her, yeah, I basically sold out of my inventory here in the showroom. And she said, it's because of the couple that visited you today. What? And she said, yeah. There, you know, blah, blah. So when Brad, of course, went in yesterday, I mean, this guy was all over Brad. You know, what do you guys do? You know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm actually in the car doing a reading and a channeling for a student because I had an appointment. And so, you know, and of course, he ends up giving us a whole bunch of free stuff because he literally had sold out his inventory. He goes, I have to go order stuff now. And these people keep coming in the door. Who are you people, right? Now, this is what I'm talking about, you know, these cool things, okay, that are massively happening with your awareness. The more we're aware that this stuff is happening, the more these angels and guides and universal and galactic energy is going to just be dropping this stuff around us to support our knowing of who we are, and then to give us the opportunity to utilize that energy in productive and creative ways in our lives like never before. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be ramping up too, even more.
Do you find, how is your sleep cycle, your energy cycle? How are you processing things right now?
Lately, I have been sleeping more than normal. Yeah, and it's, yeah, just getting going early in the day right now for me it's been kind of difficult, but and I've been eating more as well, but I've not put on any extra weight.
Thank you, Susan, because I mean, twice yesterday, I took a nap twice yesterday. I never take naps. I'm like this high energy, in case you can't tell by how much I gab. Blah, 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 blah. Brad's kind of the napper. I slept like 3 times yesterday. I'm like, what is the matter with me? You know, I usually am up between 5:30, about 5:30 in the morning, going for my whatever walk up in the mountains. I cannot get my lazy big butt out of bed until like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. I'm like, what is the matter with me? Okay. And yes, I agree with the eating thing. I'm like, I'm like a little rabbit, but thankfully, I'm not gaining weight. But it's just a totally different way, I think, that my body is recalibrating itself for the energy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I want to support that with the viewers as well. If you're feeling a little lazy, a little lethargic, I think it's just the recalibration.
Right. And yeah, we need to reevaluate what self-care means to us. Once things are opened back up again, whatever that is going to mean, it's not going to be like it was before. It's going to be different. There's going to be a lot more people allowed to work from home. So there's going to be because there's going to be empty office spaces or underutilized buildings. There's going to be different things moving into those spaces. That's going to also bring some new opportunities.
I think the launching, we were talking about how during this time appreciation is being felt, compassion is being felt. We understand that there's a percentage of panic and fear. Our focus, of course, with this programming is to pull you away from that, right, into the compassion and a deep appreciation. I know that for my own self, I can't wait to get back out literally into my favorite restaurant and give my waitress a hug and tell her how much I've missed her and how much I love her. I mean, we're generally that way with people anyway, because we've really focused on that. But that smile on the face for the person serving you that coffee, the handshake and hug thing. I'm a huge hugger. That's been really hard for me as I lean in to hug somebody. And of course, some people have no fear and they're okay with that, and others are kind of doing this to me, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And so now you thought I was a hugger before. All of you be afraid of me after this thing, because now I'm never going to let go of you, as I reach in for the hug. But all of those cool connections, I think, are coming too.
Yeah. We need to appreciate what everybody brings to the table, in a new way than we have not before. Our waiters and waitresses and our the staff at the grocery store and all the pizza delivery, all these guys, all these people, we need, they play a vital role in our society too. Everybody does. And we need to find a way to, acknowledge that.
Susan, I love you so much. Let's talk a little bit about your artwork. So and your services and your website and how people connect with you and find how valuable your services are to their spiritual journey and their state of awareness for themselves. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what they can find on your website?
So thank you for that. My website is susanwalterart.com. And you can purchase angel portraits there. We can do that via Zoom or whatever, different video chats. So you can even schedule those on my website. The mandalas, I do have prints of those. I do have also created some other ways to work with them, including coloring books and meditation decks. The meditation decks, the I've used it for so many different things. I have started doing what I call soul growth readings with those, but I've also used them to set a glass of water on, to charge it with the energy, to, or even, essential oils and herbs and different things, medications. I've held them to my body during meditation. A lot of times when I do the crystal singing bowl meditations, I've put them either in the bowls or right next to the bowls. I do have a couple of CDs with the crystal singing bowls as well. I do have at least one of those that I am going to try doing a YouTube live, where I'm going to be doing those here this next week, and we'll see how that goes, if I can figure out all this technology to a new level that I've never done before. But so that's going to be available. And there are links to like Facebook, YouTube, and my YouTube channel, all on my website as well.
I tell everybody, after our last conversation, I did go to your website and looked at, the angel portraits that you have on there, which are incredible and really fun to look at. And so, to be clear to our viewers, you can connect with Susan and she can draw or paint for you your angel guide. So she makes a connection with you, like we're doing this interview here via Zoom, and she can see that, she can feel that, and get a sense for that. So you can get your own portrait done and have that. I love, first of all, I love the idea of that because of the curiosity. I think we all would love to know what that looks like for us and who they look like. But I think also because we're human and we have these minds that we carry around, these brains and these minds, kind of once we get a real visual on that, it will help us, encourage us to communicate with that being, to see that being on a regular basis, to hang that portrait on our wall. We're honoring that energy in our home and in our lives, and helps us stabilize this truth, for ourselves. And so I really want to emphasize to everybody to check that out. Her prices are very, very reasonable. Just go check that out and make your connection, with her. And Susan, thank you, for spending this time, for everybody to be spending their time with us, sharing love, sharing encouragement with everybody at this time is so invaluable. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for inviting me. And everybody, please do something to bring some joy into your life today.
Thanks for being with us today on another episode of COVID-19, the opportunities you didn't think of. I encourage you to check out all the other interviews and programming that we've brought to you at this time and always on Xpnsion Network. I will be back with you soon with another wonderful, encouraging conversation. And just like Susan said, find some joy in your life today, in every moment, always, sending our love and honor to you as well. We'll see you next time.